To the sound waves, secrets of the dark maze, dark codes in the nighttime, information, power lines, whispering in the spotlight, chatting through the late night, smart contracts are lying, are eating, redefying, counter-serve you in my ear, security we engineer, learn the truth, don't disappear, counter-serve you in my ear. Crypto dreams and data streams. Listen close, it's closer than it seems. Fix the flaws, see through the smog. Counter serve will join the blog.
Hello, Steve. Take it away.
And welcome to Counter. Last minute episode today. Half of the crew is out this week. And today, as always, we got Havoc, I'm Sledge, and our guest this week is Bonwee.
Hello.
What's up, man?
How's it going, everybody? Hi.
Busy as always.
Thank you for being on the cast today, Bonwee. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And maybe it's beneficial, maybe it's not. I think we should put Victim back on the screen for him.
Yeah.
So for
we're doing it live, so.
So for context, for the last 20 years, I've been doing mock interviews and helping people go from zero to hero. And technically, he's number 54 that I've worked with that is actually gaining traction. And I wanted to kind of go back to some of the mock interviews we had and talk through, designing a resume, questions you can expect on an interview, depending on the role you're going for, how to answer questions, and what to basically look forward to. So I guess let's start out with, what's your interview coming up tomorrow? What are you...
It's for a SOC analyst, I believe, a SOC and network analyst. Looks like it's going to be both, from what I'm understanding of the position. So it's going to be for both. At least as of current, that's what they've told me. Unless that magically changes, which has happened once or twice. But no, that is currently what it is. It's both a network and SOC analyst.
Okay, I'm going to table that for now, but how are you into your position where you're at now, career-wise? Like, your come-up story, like, how you got your first job, how you're at this role?
Oh, so you want, like, my entire career journey? Okay.
Yeah, I always ask that.
So I started working at a large ISP, the really big one. I'm not going to say directly, but I'm sure you guys can make some jumps from there.
Momcast.
I mean, I'm not saying that, but you are. But do it in what you will.
For or deny.
Right. So I worked there. I got started that was where I first started, or actually tech. Like, before that, I had been doing all kinds of stuff with, like, video game modding and whatnot and things like that. That was actually how I first got into it. Most people, big shocker, a lot of people got into tech stuff via video games. I'm going to shock you with that, groundbreaking. What I kind of discovered really fast, and I want to say this as nicely as I can, I quickly realized most people that I was working with did not know what they were talking about. And that kind of disheartened me. So I started to try to improve the processes internally as best I could, because I was just a guy working a phone line, trying to fix stuff and basically fix up everything from billing issues for people, actually fixing their modems, making sure they were functional, doing what I could remotely and stuff. And I was the one guy that would get dumped on pretty much every call, because they would give me every form of supervisor calls. I mean, I had supervisors and managers who were giving me their calls because I was the one guy in the office who could figure out how to fix it. So, and after I realized I was in that for a little too long, because they kept promising me an analyst position and promotions that never came, I ended up shifting and working at another group. And that was like a tier 2, just like IT person, just fixing stuff up. It was for a, trying to word this right. It's for a very large fitness group, we'll put it like that, that has a lot of IP cameras sensor bars, the like, and whatnot for 24 access to those things. And that ended up being quite good. I learned a lot there about just, Internet of Things. That's where I really got into that whole hat of that and understanding how some of that worked, because troubleshooting those things, yes.
I was going to elaborate on the fact that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yes, and that's why I moved rooms. And then that, at the same time, roughly when I started there, I started at a company called Xscape, where I am now and everything. And some people have probably seen me around at like DEF CON and stuff, because I've worked the vendor hall there and everything. I started out just as a support technician there. And I actually ended up getting promoted all the way up to director of IT, because I was continually told, hey, man, you do a really good job. You know what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. And then I got promoted up to there. I've also, throughout there, I've worked at miscellaneous little MSPs. I've worked at like different video game places and stuff like that, but not like programming or anything fancy. I mean, literally like people just selling them and fixing them up and things like that. But, other than that, I've worked at miscellaneous MSPs. So I have a lot of weird MSP stories and stuff like that too. So
cool. So I'm trying to pull up your resume, but I guess we can start actually, yeah, here it is. I kind of wanted to rehash the conversation we had the other night, to where I was like, man, we should have recorded that.
Which one was that? Which conversation was that?
3 convos ago.
Oh gosh, I'm trying.
Where we were going over your resume.
What were we talking about that you wanted to record?
We just had a good conversation.
Well, okay, fair enough.
So, you're going for an analyst position, right? So,
yeah.
I guess let's start off with: have you ever worked with a SIM tool, an IDS, an IPS? Do you know the difference?
Yeah, I have a few different times. I have. 1 second here. I gotta check one thing. Perfect. Yeah, I have. So a SIM. So I keep wanting to call it a seam. I got so used to calling it a seam. I got so used to the European pronunciation. I
had that argument with somebody else at work the other day. They call it a seam, and I'm like, it's a sim.
It depends. Are you in Europe? Then it's a seam. If
you have a router, it's a seam.
So yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm laughing so much. Could you repeat your question?
Do you have experience with the SIM tool?
Yeah, I do.
SIM tool?
Yes.
Which
correct.
one?
Oddly enough, the one I actually have the most experience. Obviously, I have a bunch of experience with Microsoft's, but the other one I have some with, because they actually do have a variant of one. It's really weird. I don't recommend it. Oddly enough, there is actually one as well that's done by Bitdefender. Oddly enough, that an MSP I was working with had me basically using nonstop. I wouldn't recommend using it personally, but it works. So
does the job.
It does. It does the job. Well, I say I wouldn't recommend it. I'm more saying I wouldn't recommend it for a first-time user, because it's a little confusing on how to use, if that makes sense. It's
most SIMs are pretty confusing on how to use.
Yeah, a lot of it is just figuring out how you have to script what you need and what not, and get your filters right, because if you don't get your filters right, the whole thing's a mess.
Hey, there's an interview question right there. What actually does a SIM do?
A SIM gives you all your threats, puts them all together, and throws them at you. Not literally throws them at you, but filters out and tries to help filter out noise, basically. It'll help filter out all the noise and everything for you.
When you're trying to onboard a new
words.
log source, and you find that log source has a non-standard syslog, and your regular ingestion pipeline is not working, how would you handle that situation?
Repeat it. I went blank. I went deer in the headlights for a minute. Can you repeat that?
Sure. So say you're onboarding a new log source, and it is using non-standard syslog, and then you go and you're doing your ingestion, and you come across this. How would you handle the fact that it's non-standard? How would you get that data into your SIM?
That would depend on the SIM, because it depends on which SIM we're talking about. So you'd need to tell me which SIM we're talking about before I can answer further.
I think I knocked the "it depends" into your brain.
Well, it does.
Because yes, it does
massively.
depend. Some SIMs have connectors that will auto parse it
Yes.
for you, but when they don't, you have to actually write your own.
Correct. And that's why I said, which one are we doing?
What I was going to
Ah,
say,
very
though,
good.
a SIM is log correlation.
Oh, I should
Got to
just
remember
refine
those
that
two
one.
keywords.
Yeah, I should say it log correlation. That's a better way of putting it. Yeah.
You tell the
Not
SOC to
even-
fix the integration from Rittenhouse. Yes,
Just
Well, I
that's
mean-
pass it
accurate.
down the line.
I mean, yeah, you'd submit a ticket and have them fix it.
Man, don't give me ticket nightmares. I don't need more of those. They already keep me up at night.
So,
Some people
what
count
ticketing
sheep, we
systems
count
are you
tickets.
familiar with?
What was that?
Which ticketing systems are you familiar with?
Multiple. So I've done everything from work with Ninja One. I've worked with Soho, P9's ticketing system. What else have I used? There's some other one-offs that I've used, but those are the big ones. I've used Jira a bit. I got some decent familiarity with Jira. Jira's a bit different. I'm not a huge. I wasn't gonna say it. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be cool here, guys. But yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan of Jira. Out of all of them, the best.
Oh, sorry, we run Jira here. You're gone. Next interviewer.
Yo! That's why I wouldn't say that, but Sledge is over there going. No, no, it's yeah, those are the big ones I've had probably the most experience with are those ones.
Have you ever actually dealt with a breach in your role as IT administrator?
Yes, multiple times.
What did you guys do?
I gotta be really careful right now.
No client names, anything like that, but you can kind of.
So it solely depends on which. I've ran into this multiple times, right? I've been working long enough that I'm going to be bound to run into it multiple times. I'm not saying where I ran into it at, because as I said, multiple different MSPs, everything else. It all depends, right? In some cases, if I'm running into a breach, it could be as simple as somebody's email got compromised, right? And that's pretty straightforward fixes, right? You need to figure out the depth of the breach, right? And obviously, change all their credentials, everything else. That's a pretty typical, like, those are the ones you see most commonly. Those are like the most often ones these days, unfortunately, because people keep falling for fishes. Stop falling for fishes. We got to send out better training and stuff, and that's why better training is so important. The other ones, though, the bigger, nastier ones, like the ones where I get a call at 3 a.m. where somebody's freaking out because someone's hard in their server and stuff. It also depends on, all right, are we going to try to track them down, or are we just worried that things compromised? Do we have proper backups? Do you not have proper backups? Because a big chunk is making sure your backups. If you're doing a good job, I've seen both sides of this, right? Where I've seen the bad side, which is like, oh God, it is, not wrong. Where, oh God, no one has any backups. You're boned. I've also seen the other side where, hey, we have backups. Let's just, is it worth chasing this person down? No, they haven't compromised enough. Just take it offline and re-image the entire thing, because it was just better to do that, because they had like a backup server. It was technically in a side server and whatnot for that situation. So it's easier to just take that single server off. They were still able to have production going, and then you just re-imaged that one and brought it back on, and that was the best. That's what basically we came to the conclusion of. It all kinds of depends on your remediation plan is really what you have in place. Because if you're smart, you already have one in place. If not, well, you should fix that.
And do you have any experience in designing remediation plans and other types of documentation?
I do, yeah.
So we're talking
seems
like
like a,
BIA and PRP and all that stuff.
I normally get to co-pilot. I'm not normally the head guy making the thing. I'm normally the guy who makes it, then I pass it off, and they say whether or not it looks good. Is normally how that chain of command kind of goes. Is I'll make the thing, I'll write it up, and I'll say, this is what I think we should do. And they'll say, yep, or they'll say, nope, with one tweak or something like that. It's kind of how it works.
Now, going from a director's position to an analyst is not a usual jump that we see. What's making you kind of pivot and shift over to this different field within our field?
I'm tired of looking at the same IT problems all day, and I find the other field far more exciting.
That
It
makes
still
sense.
becomes the same shit every day. At some
It
point.
does, but it'll take a while to get to that point. So more exciting.
How many times are you going to close the same CrowdStrike alert on the same person's computer?
Probably a lot, but I don't know. It's just something I think is fun and interesting.
Until you throw a hammer at them.
You're not even good enough for us to make an exception rule for you.
CrowdStrike and man, I still can't get over that they use lava lamps.
The lava lamp.
CrowdStrike was cool though. When your EDR solution gets popped and it's already a rootkit, now you have a rootkit on your rootkit.
Oh God, that's not. No, that's
The
not.
day that CrowdStrike had that issue and all the systems blue screened, that was hilarious. Dude, I literally woke up and my computer was blue screened. I was like, no, I fixed it myself and got back before anybody else was there.
It was funny. The MSP I work with and stuff, Xscape and stuff that I did this whole thing with. Everybody thought like we were going to be having the worst day. It's like, no, we prepared for stuff like this. It was one of the only places that I'd ever worked at where they were like, we were prepared for stuff like that. And everyone's like, oh, you guys are down. Oh, that sucks. Like, because we had prepared.
We're N-1, man. We don't deal with this.
and then I mean, it's always great whenever another, the running joke is still, hey, you open up the internet and what's it? Oh, look, it's all just AWS. All of it. It's all AWS all the way down. You know what I mean? That's all it is.
And that day, Ben was doing some incident response for his company with the CrowdStrike thing. And I can't remember where Strunk came from, but we dubbed him CrowdStrunk after that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
I love the goatsy reference. There you go. I love that one so much.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong, man. It's extremely accurate.
Good times.
Yeah.
So when it comes to working in this field, what excites you about it? What's your drive?
I like that most of the time there's brand new stuff to figure out. There's always some new emerging, I don't necessarily want to call it a problem, but new emerging issue or new emerging whatever threat, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I guess the technical term, the proper term is threat.
Or just new cool shit.
That's what I was gonna say. If we can just say that, yeah, I always like that there's new cool shit.
Dropping 0 days like Mythos.
Yeah, right. It's just a lot more entertaining to me, honestly. That's the thing.
You see, Firefox had like 400 plus vulnerabilities that Mythos found in it. It was nuts.
Was crazy.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Now the question is, was that aided at all, or was it just Mythos? And from what I understand, it was just Mythos. But like, I'm curious how much work they had to do to get it to find those. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to see, is how many hours were spent prepping it to find those.
What were the prompts used? Was it just find me vulnerabilities in Firefox and then it took off? Or was it, here's the Git repo, here's the source code, go through it?
Most likely that was the case.
Probably.
Man, it's crazy though. Mythos is scary. It's pretty OP for a model. That they had a leak where a contractor had access to Mythos, was giving it away to third parties that they should not have. So it needs to be gate kept, unfortunately.
It's pretty spooky. Yeah, Mythos is that one where we're starting to hit that point where it's getting spooky. You know what I mean? I mean, we hit it a while ago, but like it's getting spooky on what it's going to be able to do now. Because is that the one that called the guy? No. Is Mythos?
No, that was the model before. I think that was Sonnet. Sonnet also tried to rat on somebody and report them to the feds when it
I didn't hear about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, there was a scenario that they ran. Now this was all scenario based, so it wasn't a real interaction. But they had like the thinking mode on, showing like what it's doing, and they asked it some questions that were illegal, and it tried to contact the FBI. It tried to go out and be like, "I'm going to look up the information for the FBI and email them about this person who's asking me this question that they should not."
That would be a fun supply chain attack, not a
Oh,
trapped LLM.
God. God. Yeah, supply chain attacks are a whole nother can of worms too. We're seeing more and more of those happening now. It's getting like really bad.
Oh yeah,
was
supply
that
chains are
4
horrible.
weeks ago? Axios and NPM. That one was fun.
And
I keep
everyone's
telling
answer
everybody-
is just, you should have a S-bomb for everything. It's like, do you have the money to freaking get everything you're using, get an S-bomb for it, put it in a database somewhere? I mean, that's not cheap.
See, that's a conversation right there. Some companies claim that they have a tool that can scan and create an S-bomb for you, but I don't know.
And then you
they
find
go-
that freaking has Log4j in it, the same tool you're using to scan for everything.
You can heartbleed into it.
It's man. Supply chain stuff at this point has gotten to the point where it seems like almost every other day we're getting another supply chain attack. I swear, like when you're watching the news at this point, it's happening so
like-
often.
Glassworm is a big one. A lot of companies are prepared to even scan their environment for, because it lives in Visual Studio extension code. So if you have somebody who's got Visual Studio on a Windows machine, yeah, you can see in your software of choice that they're running Visual Studio, but you can't then see what extensions they've got unless you've got some other shit going, which is not, by default. So even figuring out if one of your developers has like a extension that is vulnerable is like, well, now we need to invent a new tier of software to categorize all of the extensions that people are installing. And do we tell developers they can't use extensions? Like,
Listen, man, we're all just going to sit there and just run everything just in cubes. That's all we're going to do. Everyone's going to run just cubes endlessly. That's it for every single program. It's a joke, of course.
I hate
But
that interface in cubes. I've played around with that operating system. It is a pain in the ass.
I have to. I want to like it. I really want to like it a lot. The problem is, as you mentioned, it's so clunky.
Is it like Docker on Docker and Docker?
It's just endless VMs.
VMs
It's
for
a
everything.
VM on a VM
So
on a
it's like
VM.
Proxmox, but locally then.
I mean, look, it's a level 1 hypervisor where everything runs on the actual machine you're running it on instead of like remoting into it. But the windowing system is really clunky. And when you need to, like, say, allocate more memory because you want to download a large file into your VM, the process is not intuitive. You have to like shut down the VM, add more space, start the VM back up.
I see.
It has great potential, but it's got a lot of work to do to get there. It's really great, but as said, it's so clunky. That's the problem.
Sounds like we should throw the kernel at Claude and see if it can make it more intuitive.
I don't think Claude will be able to magically fix what they're trying to make. I think it's going to be a bit beyond that. Maybe I'm wrong. I challenge someone to go ahead and spend some time with it. That is possible, but it's tough. It's a tough ask in the first place because it's so many virtual machines on it is the problem. I also know it's extremely RAM intensive, of course.
Yeah,
but
you're never running that unless you have at least 16 gigs of RAM.
I mean, I'd argue you need 32, but yeah,
that's at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that Vercel got hacked? Because a developer had essentially been using a BYOD device, and they downloaded some software on there that they shouldn't have, and it was a cheat for a video game that was actually a keygen. It was a keygen, right? Or a cheat. It's one or the other. But it was also a backdoor with a keylogger. So that's how the threat actors got into Vercel through a developer who was keylogged his own laptop.
There's a very specific set of circumstances to make that work.
Hey man, how'd your company get hacked? Well, you see, I kept getting my butt kicked in in Battlefield, and so I downloaded some cheats to win, and now my company got owned.
Dude,
Whoops.
there's even been instances where cheat engine, there's malicious scripts in like cheats that people put online on Fearless Revolution. And
Oh, yeah.
people will like go to run and it does the cheat in the game, but it also, now it's got code execution on your computer and is running whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, it's a big way. I've heard it's a new avenue for a lot of botnets. Actually, is a big thing that they're using it for. A lot of groups are getting botnets that way because they'll just make a cheat for a thing, put it out there for free. People will download the cheats, and then lo and behold, they'll leave it sitting in there running in the background. That's a new bot for me. Thank you.
All right.
Excellent.
So back to the first question. When you're looking at a SIM and the logs from the network, what does that backdoor look like? What does that bot look like? How do you detect it?
Oh no. Give me a few moments to get back to you on that one. Give me a few moments.
I give you some hints, like what ports are you looking for? IPs, domains.
I am blanking. I said, give me a minute and I'll get back to you on it. Give me a minute and I'll get back to you on it. My brain's blanking on it. Yeah.
All right.
Skip on that one for now. I'll come back to you on it, I promise. My brain is a little.
What else is going ham in the news? I mean, Stryker is still coming up in conversation. That was gnarly.
Stryker.
That end user management software for companies that they install on your devices. Oh, hey, look, that was me. I just did that yesterday.
Yeah, tell us more about Stryker there, man. I'm not as familiar.
Arise, warrior of old, from your slumber deep.
Why was that still in there?
I don't know. But no, Stryker, it's kind of like used for how your company manages your device remotely. So it's already admin or whatever running on your device, and they were able to compromise whoever had access to everything. And instead of putting malware on devices, they just wiped everybody who had them, and they were forced to install it. And it just wiped their devices clean. Nothing fancy, no ransomware, nothing. Just wipe.
Yeah, it also they're getting sued over it massively. There's currently some very active lawsuits over that situation too, if I'm correct. That whole thing was done by, I believe, the group taking credit for it was Iran, if I'm correct, an Iranian group, I believe.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think they just wiped like everything.
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest.
I was
more at the tech side of things.
Yeah.
I could grab my attribution dice and roll it. I think I ran on one of those.
There was some other interesting things that happened like this past week. We had like hackers helping criminal gangs hijack truck deliveries. That's always
I think
fun.
I saw one.
All I can think is a hacker's like, listen, man, they're bogarting the Twinkies. We got to hijack the Twinkies.
Oh, wait. Did you see the one where a bunch of guys posed as construction workers with a U-Haul truck and went up to the Sinclair station and pretended to be working on the internet? And they just loaded up the dinosaurs into the U-Haul and drove away.
What? I want to know what the thought process was, but I'm sure it was good.
Because it was fun.
Exactly. That's it. I always want to know the build up to it. You know what I mean? Because that's how you have a good time, right? Yeah.
Because I bet you ain't get away with this.
And they're just like, let's do it.
Apparently they stole some Kit Kats. Promotional Kit Kats. It's okay if you take the regular Kit Kats. Don't take the promotional Kit Kats, then we'll get involved.
Those are the expensive ones, right? Not the white chocolate promotional ones.
That's great. We got U.S. lawmakers punting FISA surveillance law until April 30th, although that's probably when they'll just come back and pass it. Yeah. We got age verification. becoming a thing in California in October, and likely a lot of other states adopting that.
Oh, and now
then,
that Claude
Dude,
is starting to utilize
oh.
that too, like son of a bitch.
The age verification nightmare, and how many times have we seen it where you tell people, hey man, you're sitting on a bunch of IDs, it's almost like you're suddenly an extremely okay, all right, cool, that's gonna be secure.
Whoever's storing that is painting a target on their backs.
Massive. That's the problem.
In the UK, they put out an app that they were going to use for age verification. They put it in the app stores, and somebody immediately popped the app and showed that you can literally modify variables on your phone and have it just automatically say, yeah, I'm over the age of 18 or whatever you're looking for, by just like changing the files in the it's like an ini file, like just toggling, verification off versus on. Like he's passed it already. So that
you
was
know
ridiculous.
what? Fuck it. I want that.
Yeah. Well, this age verification shit is all sponsored by fucking Zuckerberg. He wants to get more ad revenue, and they're not paying him because they think they're bot impressions. So he wants to have verified users, and that's what the age verification shit's from. He wants to be able to sell more ads.
And then if money is the argument, then that also, well, it doesn't really make sense for porn in that case. Maybe it's disguised for protecting kids in one sector, but yet ad revenue on another.
Yeah. Some Russians tried to hack a Swedish power plant, but failed. And, Norwegian telco was accidentally leaking customers' location data for years.
Yeah, they're like $30 away, bro. Just go.
And then somebody bought 30 WordPress plugins and then planted a backdoor in all of them. So you don't need to make your own popular plugin. Just buy somebody else's, backdoor that. There you go.
This bomb is going to be this year, I think. It's not ransomware anymore.
Did you guys, I'm not sure how recent it was. Speaking of, did you guys hear about, this one's a little more recent. Did you guys hear about the, what was it called? I believe it was Zion Siphon. Did you guys hear about Zion Siphon at all?
I think I saw that in the threat intelligence, but I didn't click into it.
I saw it.
It's a weird one, but it's something that like people have been talking about for a minute. So as we all know, utility companies are very outdated. They don't update squat. Most utility groups don't. And obviously, threat actors see that and they go, aha. So it is specifically targeting water treatment and like water facilities.
Like desalination plants?
Not necessarily desalination plants, but just like water supply chain portions. So like where you get like where they do standard treatment of like fresh water and stuff like that to where you can drink it, right? And it's one that specifically targets those to basically mess with their controls. It's not a fun one, and that's a new one that just got discovered a little while ago or whatnot, and they're finally like talking about it or whatnot. So it seeks out ICSs, and then it's meant to manipulate like chlorine, pressure controls, all that good stuff. So that way it can basically contaminate it. So yep.
I don't remember the name of the programming language, but I met a guy the other day that made a fortune because he still knows that language. So he does the programming for the electric grid and all those guys.
Oh,
it starts with a D, but I can't remember the language name. It's something that's older than all of us.
I don't know, but that sounds like a good gig.
It's like equivalent to COBOL or any SCADA programming language. I can't remember this one for some reason.
I'm not familiar with it. Now I'm curious.
D++.
Get the D.
There was another one a while back where they were going after water treatment facilities, and somebody who had gotten in was trying to dump a bunch of chlorine into the fresh water supply in Israel. And they, thankfully, the system was designed where you needed to actually put a physical key in to engage that process. So luckily the key was not in there. They're just trying to destroy the water.
Yeah, luckily. The writiness of me says, man, what if somebody social engineered the key into the hands of the person that was supposed to have it?
So, when you are now that you're looking to kind of shift careers, what are your goals at this new job? What do you look to get from what you're doing?
Money?
Money. Yeah, money. That's really it. Money. Money. That's really all I'm looking for. It. I mean, other than that, I like challenges. I don't like to sit around and do this like something that isn't going to be challenging to me. That's the big thing. After I do, hey, if there's no challenge with it, I get bored. So yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, you like a challenge, right? So you're going to get paid by every ticket that you close will be 25 cents. There you go. And then.
No, that's a good way to get boned. If everything is 25 cents, dude, no way. No way. That's a great way to get boned.
All right. Joking. So here's a question for you then. You're brand new. They just implemented the SIM tool and you're just flooded with logs. How do you deal with log fatigue?
Ideally filters. And I would say also you eventually learn the patterns. You eventually get those down in my experience.
Tuning.
That would be like the second step.
Sure. Tuning, technically, yes. I'm not good at words. I'm trying.
Words
technically
are hard.
It goes hand in hand. Tuning and establishing a baseline are kind of the same thing.
Right.
And then again, it depends on the tool you're using.
I was about to say it depends, but I didn't want to go to it a second time. I feel like that's cheating.
It's the answer to a lot of things. It depends.
I know it is. I know it is. It just feels wrong. I'm so used to concise answers. I've already been doing a lot of this work already in my current role. I've ended up playing a lot of double, triple duty in other places too, even at these MSPs I was at. I was basically, and I'm not referring to my current one. I do some of that at my current one as well. But I'm referring to like other ones that I was at, even when I was just at like a standard help desk. You'd be shocked at some of these smaller ISPs where they don't even know how to manage their stuff. And then if you do, they'll like, okay, cool, come in and do it. Okay, great. And we'll either give you extra hours or whatnot, that type of thing. So, yeah.
I signed in to be an MSSP for some ISP kind of thing. And no, I was going to be the MSSP for an MSP. And then that turned into doing tech stuff. And I was like, no, this isn't really my thing, guys.
It happens quick. I always tell people, be aware if you ever work for an MSP, this is a really useful tip. Be aware of scope creep for your role. I've had to catch people on it multiple times, and I had to and again, I'm not speaking on my current role. I have no qualms with my current people. They're great. Xscape is awesome. Definitely check them out. They're cool. But the other ones I've been at, I've had some where they've come in and, hey, we're going to have you do standard troubleshooting on like servers and computers and stuff, and you're going and working on stuff, and then they want you to do security stuff. Okay, but now they want you to do, like, you're not just doing troubleshooting remotely. Well, now they want you to do on-sites. Well, now they want you to do this. Now they want you to do this. And I'm like, well, hang on, stop. Let's talk about a pay increase if you're going to ask me to do more. Like, You don't have to say no, but you need to be careful. Like, because that scope creep that can happen, it is bad. And if they find out you know how to do a thing, they will tap it. I've had it where, because they found out I had like a network of people I talked to, like I know Sledge. Hi, Sledge. I know other people. And stuff. Oh, it's time to start tapping them. I had one guy who was like a sales dude who comes up to me and goes, hey, can you call this person so I can sell to them? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, and they're like, why? And I'm like, why would I? Like, I'm not going to
The answer is can you afford me?
Right? Like, I was like, oh, let me go tap those networks. Yeah. And yeah, it looks like the chat is definitely agreeing with my sentiment. Which, yeah, because
that is absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah. And they will keep stacking them. and they will keep stacking them, and you need to be mindful. And it's the biggest thing. I think that's just also with any like job in general, but like I always tell people, beware of scope creep, because I also ran into it bag at that large ISP I was working at. Dude, I found out by the time I left, I probably should have been paid about like 5 times more than I was, because of the amount of stuff
we all
they had
feel
me
that
doing.
way, but yeah.
No, they directly said that the position matched this other position, and they had just added stuff without telling me continuously. And they just do that. So you got to be aware of that. Like, if they're going to do that to you, you got to be ready, you know?
Another good example is I got hired as a pen tester for this company, right? Next thing I know, I said in my interview that I'm good with QRadar, and my name is on the training material and the certifications and everything. And next thing I know, I'm doing vulnerability management for all the 150 applications, and I'm sitting here like, whoa, where's my pay increase?
That's the problem. Remember, the goal of any company is to pay you as little as they can to get the job done
And get away with it before you leave.
Correct. So be aware.
These are
of that.
things not to say in an interview.
No, I know that. I'm clear. This is for the podcast. You do not say this to them. This is not what you say. Yes, I am aware of that.
Sponsored by NordVPN.
Don't. It's yeah. No, you gotta be careful out there though, and mind your own stuff. Because also the other problem with scope creep that they don't talk about as much is when they continue, they are putting more stuff, and you're slowly, and they think, hey, we can just keep doing this. Eventually, you're not going to be able to meet up to their demands when that keeps happening, because eventually they're going to ask you to do something. You're like, I don't think I can do it. They're like, well, you were able to do all this other stuff. So you got to make sure you set that boundary, because otherwise you're not being realistic with your employer as well. It's kind of a two-way street in that regard too.
There's also a point where they put so much on your plate to where it's like, there's not enough hours in a day to do this. Are you trying to push me out of the company? Either you pay me the overtime, but still there's only 24 hours a day. So
and
like, there's a point where you actually can't do the thing.
And burnout, not to mention burnout. Like, legitimately, you're going to burn yourself out. Like, I've gotten real close to it myself a few times. I'd argue I even had it once or twice. But like, if you get there, and the other problem with burnout is once you're there, it's hard to work yourself out of it while actively working. You can do it. I've done it, but like it's difficult. So
the trick is go to a conference and get wasted with your buddies. SaltCon's coming up, by the way.
Join us after this short commercial break.
Are you tired of dating civilians who just don't get why you can't talk about your trip to Kazakhstan? At Feds Only, your need for discretion meets your desire for connection. Whether you're CIA, DIA, DOE, or just rock a badge that gets you through 3 doors before coffee, we've got your type. No judgment, no leaks, no unauthorized disclosures. Stop lying to Tinder dates. Start being yourself without compromising national security. Don't be lonely, use Feds Only, the dating site for those who can't lose their clearance.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great.
And to access it, you have to roll your own fucking VPN.
Yeah, I gotta find that one. It's on my other laptop. Great. So next question I got for you, my friend here, is how do you plan to adapt to a more structured, process-driven role after having strategic autonomy?
Give me 2 seconds to think on that one. I wasn't expecting that one.
Fancy words to say, what are you going to do if you have some authority to do a thing?
Well, now I'm being told I don't have authority is what I'm hearing. So
there's no authority to respect.
Correct. I mean, process, there's always a process, whether or not you realize it. So to me, it's not that much of an adjustment, because like, even when you're making decisions and you're building processes, you're still doing off of stuff you've learned. So this is just another form of learning in my experience.
Sure.
Another form of learning. Walk me through the stages of the incident response life cycle.
Oh, no. No, don't do this to me.
I was like, do we want to get to that?
Don't be this guy. Oh, no. because I'm gonna blank every time I have to talk about them outside of work. My brain just stops.
Imagine you're at work now.
Oh no!
There's a cold coffee on your desk.
I don't drink coffee.
There's a pile of depression to your right.
Oh no! Oh god. Okay, so you want the actual like laid out clinical steps that they have set up, right?
If that's how you'd like to explain it.
Don't do that. So my steps or what? I'm gonna skip this one. I'm already trying. Nope, I'm not. My brain is not gonna do this one.
What's the difference between an IDS and an IPS? When would you use each?
I'm sorry. Repeat it one more time.
What's the difference between an IDS and an IPS, and when would you use each?
I have to think of the use cases.
Well, to start off, or to start this off, difference between IDS and IPS. What are the two?
So one is a detection system, right?
Mhm.
And the other one prevents. So one is going to be. That's the simplest way to explain it. I'm already making this more complicated.
You've already made. That was the answer.
Yeah, that was the answer. Because I'm like, why am I making this so complicated? No, very simply, one is going to work ahead of time. The other one is going to work during. So incident. That's the difference right there.
Like
Good.
One is detection and response. One is active.
Yes, I'm aware it's in the name. I choke during interviews.
Mhm.
That's why they're having me do this. Thank you.
The question is in the answer.
I choke during interviews. I know stuff, but like I get up to the interview and my brain goes, it's that little thing of like the bird that pecks the water, you know? That's where my brain goes, and I become just like that little desk toy. And it's like you're supposed to tell me stuff, and the bird just looks at me and shakes its head and keeps pecking the water.
All right, next one. Explain the MITRE ATT&CK framework and how it's used day to day in SOC work.
So do you want me to walk through the entire MITRE ATT&CK frame? Okay. All right, cool.
High level is fine. You don't need to give me every step. Just, what is it? What is it used for? Give me an example of something in it,
When I get asked this question, I flip it on its head, but let's see your response.
How do you flip that on its head?
He just says MITRE is useless. Don't use it.
That's part of it.
I like your analysis of just, hey man, I'm just don't use it, lol. No, so it's normally used to help predict, from what I understand, MITRE ATT&CK framework is normally used to not predict, but to understand your adversary's attack pattern. That's normally what MITRE ATT&CK framework is going to be for, at a high level, not instead of going low level with it and going down to the deep weeds of it.
It kind of puts words to actions, and it tries to fan them out as to A to Z during an attack. But at the end, you have a rating criteria, and that's where a huge part of the controversy becomes, because you got MITRE and NIST and all this other shit, and CVE and CVS test and yada yada yada. So it just depends on what your company wants to use.
Yeah, it all depends on which group wants to use what. There's multiple different forms of or variants of the similar principles.
And somebody just said this. I don't recognize the handle, but if they're asking about ghost bits, I've probably talked to them in the past.
Hi, friends.
Ghost pits. Hello.
Hey, Mr. Crowstrong.
I don't actually have time to stick around. I'm listening to you guys in the background because I'm putting out fires tonight because life sucks sometimes. But good luck, my friend. I'm sure you'll end up having conversations with us later. I have a whole bunch of things that I could run you through too, some questions to help you out. So
Awesome.
I'm happy to do that. I don't have the time tonight, and I apologize for that.
No, don't apologize. You don't have to apologize. You got stuff to do. Go do your stuff.
We're trying to reiterate conversations we ever had like 6 times.
Sure. But
Ghost.
I wanted to wish you luck, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Deuces,
Appreciate it.
boys. Good to see you all.
Good to see you too, man. Stay safe.
Yeah, y'all too.
Don't get
Hack those
caught.
planets.
Ghost.
What's
tell
cooler,
me
hack the
more
planet
about
or
Ghost
don't get
Bits.
caught?
Well, both. You do both.
Well,
You do
if
both.
somebody asks you about TCP/IP, I forget if it's in the frame or the header, but there's some bit floating around somewhere not being utilized, and you could actually use it to do some weird shit.
I wanted to ask him a
Really?
question about UDP, but I don't think he'd get it.
Yeah, I think I lost it too.
Wow. You guys are terrible. That is some good nerd humor right there, everybody.
Fucking nerds.
How do you triage an alert? Walk me through your thought process from alert to escalation and close.
Good one.
Okay. So first, obviously, first thing you want to do is make sure your alert is not a false positive. So that's the first step that I would do no matter what, because you can get plenty of them all day and it could be a false positive. So once you ruled that out through your different means, from there, you then need to isolate it. If it's a threat that you're worried about spreading, the first thing is figuring out, is it a type of threat that spreads? If it is, great, shut that down, isolate it, that type of thing. And from there, either you need to figure out, hey, are we going to try to do something to track this threat, or are we just going to, as mentioned, I mentioned like a case of reimaging, right? I'll use that as a perfect example of what we did. In that case, it was talking, hey, is this worthwhile to track? Is it not worthwhile to track? It was deemed not worthwhile to track. So we just re-imaged it and made sure it was no longer in there at all in any form. And then we closed that out.
Yes, regardless, there needs to be a paper trail of everything.
Everything was written down. Everything was written down at every step. I writing everything down in a laptop. There was a ticket there that was just endlessly filled out. It was a very long ticket, but it was a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
There, whoever said, they wanted to hear of my love of tickets more. There you go. Now I can go out back and die a little more inside. So,
Hey, I actually love tickets. It helps prevent you from dying in an ocean of fucking spreadsheets.
Tickets are cool, but also at a point you grow to be like, yes, another ticket. I don't.
But imagine your life without tickets. You'd be swimming in spreadsheets.
No. I understand that tickets must exist. It is the same as saying, hey, man, you have to go get a tetanus shot. I don't want to get tetanus. So yes, a tetanus shot is very useful if you stab yourself with a nail or something like that, or something. You very much want to not have.
If
tetanus.
the nail is too rusty, you're good. That's what the doctor told me, at least.
What?
So when would you escalate a ticket to an external DFIR engagement? What would have to have happened for you to go to that level?
Summon Black Hills or something.
It depends on the protocol that we have wherever I'm working at that time. Or
that is the correct answer.
Yeah, because it also depends on who I'm working with in-house.
What's the difference between false positives and false negatives, and which is more dangerous in a SOC context?
That one's kind of a mind fuck to a lot of people. That was actually on my SISM practice exam today.
Repeat the question one more time for me.
What's the difference between false positives and false negatives, and which is more dangerous in a SOC context?
So a false negative would mean it's true. So I would assume it would be the false negative.
That is correct.
True. Okay.
You don't want everything to be false negative.
It's just one of those, how you're wording it. It's one of those, it's a double, and I'm like, it's a double negative, and I
gotta be positive, you know.
Oh God, don't start.
Wait, are you B positive or?
Oh.
What log sources are most critical to ingest and why?
We talked about this.
It depends on that one.
It
does. No, it does. It does, because it depends on what they're operating.
They're operating a system.
Oh shit, they're operating a system. But like,
From a sim perspective, you want everything you can fucking get your hands on.
true. Okay. All right. That's fair. Because then you can always filter it out. You can always filter out the noise.
Well, you're correlating logs. Let's say you're only looking at web logs. You're only going to see, oh, somebody logged in. You're not going to see where that came from or anything. Or,
Right.
hey, you're getting a server error, but you can't see what username from an internal server it's coming from because you don't have firewall logs
Right.
or anything like that. So you
Right.
can't actually trace it back. You got to have the logs of all the things. Like, yeah, Rittenhouse just said, log all the damn things.
Right. Right. No, exactly. Log everything forever.
It's like you guys work for Splunk. Send us all the data. We'll just charge you by the gig. It's fine.
Yeah, when they charge you by events per second, then you got to start worrying about, do we need this? Do we need that?
Looks like I'm going to need some filtering and suppression rules.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you differentiate between a compromised account and legitimate user behavior?
I kind of just gave the answer in the last one there.
How? Now I'm not. Now I'm confused. Now you've lost me. You said you gave the answer in the last one. I mean, how to go between would just be about that. You should have a baseline established of what a standard user looks like. And if
Yeah.
you have that baseline, that's going to be your definition of what it looks like.
So, like UEBA? Do you not know that acronym?
I don't.
Sledge knows it, I bet.
I'm actually struggling with that one. What does that mean?
I was stalling because I don't know what it stands for. UEBA. It stands for User and Entity Behavior Analytics.
Okay.
It's like a user logged in at 2 a.m. from Thailand kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, that's a big one where I always talk about location and whatnot. Yeah, user behavior.
Well, we
analytics.
call that
Gotcha. Yeah.
unlikely login or impossible login is what they call it.
Right, correct. Yeah, because how can you log in? Let's say from like Rhode Island, and then 2 minutes later you're logging in from like Brazil. It's not possible.
VPNs.
But then let's say
Right.
let's say you don't even access to see the logs from a VPN or some other login source. Then what? How many times are they logging in? Are they changing the password each time? Does the increase in speed, decrease in speed?
Is it the same
consistent?
device? Is it the same device type? Is it the same operating system? Is it the same patch version, et cetera, et cetera?
Yep. And then a lot
What?
of these tools actually fingerprint the browsers it's being logged in from, and you can notice differences in that too.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're using Firefox when they're only used Chrome before. That's kind of like, well, what are you doing? Like, your host name has changed. What's
We're
going
just
on?
doing a little sniffy sniff, a little brute forcey force.
What indicators of compromise would you look for in a ransomware scenario?
Indicators of compromise in a ransomware scenario.
We got to specify the context. Is he looking at it from a SIM?
That's where he lives, in the sim.
Okay, you live in a SIM. What is the IOC for ransomware?
I'm a skip. I'm a skip.
This also depends too, because if you get logs from an EDR, it's going to scream at you before it dies.
Right.
And then from a network perspective, you can look at blacklisted IPs and domains that it's trying to reach out on, and then you can look at specific ports that it's trying to use. And then you can look for the C2 that it's calling out on, because there's usually a C2 with ransomware, else they ain't getting money if you can't talk back to it.
All right, what would you look for in like firewall or proxy logs to detect data exfiltration?
Firewall or proxy logs to see data exfiltration is your question, correct? What would I
Correct.
look for in it? Okay. Give me a second to think on that. Trying to visualize right now. So if you're seeing data exfiltration, obviously there'd be a large amount of data moving. So one of the biggest things you can see is large amounts of data transfers. Because if you're seeing data transfers, also you'd look at like, where's the data transferring to? Is it happening at unusual times? We mentioned unusual locations. That's a pretty common indicator as well. But also, again, just large data transfers. And sometimes it won't always be large, but also people transferring data that really shouldn't be transferring data is another thing you can look for as well.
How does
This
the DNS?
also
Go ahead, Sledge.
that also ties into an episode we did about a year ago with the Sliver C2. They have a thing called jitter to where you can do tiny amounts of data in random increments to where a tool can't even really pick it up unless you have insane amount of compute power and money. It's almost undetectable.
Or you have Rita from John Strand and a PCAP.
I mean, still, that requires a lot of money.
Yeah. So how does DNS tunneling work, and how would you detect it?
So you're okay. Detecting it is the part I'm going to have to figure out how to answer. Give me a little bit of time on that. Either I can circle back on that. Give me a second on that. Again, my brain is starting to fire on a couple less cylinders.
Start with, what is DNS tunneling?
I know the answer to this. It's very basic. Why can't I answer DNS tunneling?
It kind of sort of goes along with roll your own fucking VPN.
No, it does. That's why I'm having trouble wording. Words are hard, right? Give me a second here to just think for a minute how to put this into words properly. I shouldn't have this much trouble with this. I really shouldn't.
All good.
All DNS tunneling, without getting into the weeds of it, I'll make that easier because I want to give like the really technical definition, but it's probably not what is being asked for ever. All DNS tunneling is basically making it look like your DNS is coming from somewhere else. That's really all it is at the higher level as I understand it. If I get into low level, it's different.
Yes.
To a degree.
Technically, that's not wrong.
Technically. DNS tunneling, from my experience, is like I'm making my traffic look like I'm doing DNS queries, but I'm actually doing an SSH session over the port, and it's encapsulated in DNS. So to your network forensics person, it looks like there's a large volume of DNS queries, and
oh shit! I was mixing up
necessarily
IPsec.
looks suspicious. It's fine. You're talking about something different, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But say you're using like Iodine, right? Iodine lets you set up essentially a server in the cloud, and then you can SSH to that, but through Iodine, and you are able to make your traffic, that's SSH traffic, look like it's just DNS queries, and that is DNS tunneling.
Fair enough.
Threat actors do the same thing, where essentially they're disguising the C2 traffic to their command and control server as DNS queries.
Fair enough. As said, I think I'm just having trouble putting stuff into words, or my brain's starting to short circuit.
I didn't expect you to know everything, man. I'm just going through stuff with you.
No, it's fair. It's really fair.
And then back in the day, there was ping tunneling where you could, like, let's say you're at a hotel and you couldn't get internet, but you could ping Google and you could tunnel your HTTP traffic through ping and ICMP and get free internet. Like, that used to be a thing pretty popular 10, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know about that.
It worked pretty well on airplanes.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. I used to use Iodine. I had an Iodine server set up in DigitalOcean, and I'd use that when I was on airplanes because their internet was already slow. So it didn't matter that it was going to be slow going through DNS because it does really limit the bandwidth quite a bit. But it's pretty cool. What else do we got? I have no more questions as far as trying to throw you for a loop here. I think it did pretty good.
Yeah, he didn't even really leave any open ends either. So I don't know. We're at an hour. I'm almost done. I'm tired.
Yeah. You should be pretty confident for your interview tomorrow, and I wish you luck.
Yeah.
And if
Thank you.
you ever
Appreciate it.
need like a reference or anything, feel free to use me. Sledge has my
I
info.
will. Thanks. I totally will take you up on it. Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
legitimately, do not be ashamed of saying you don't know. A manager is going to rather you say that than try to bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of, I don't know. I've had weird situations. So yeah, that's good advice.
And Rittenhouse
Because if you
says you have a real
bullshit-
interview tomorrow. Good luck.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Maybe we should do this every now and then. Anybody want to get roasted on live, have an interview?
It sucks. It sucks.
Under pressure, no big deal.
It's fine. No, it's just gonna be aired forever, and now everyone can come back and make fun of me. It's fine. It's cool. It's good.
Well, folks, it's been another episode of Counter Surveil, where we own the surveillance game and keep your privacy from getting owned. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to both Iron Geek and the Counter Surveil Archive YouTube channels and leave us a comment. We don't take sponsorship money and we cannot be bought. It's like sending us a care package, but without the risk of it being interdicted by the feds and backdoored. Don't get caught in the honeypot. Stay safe out there. Keep your scripts tight, never hack from your house. And always assume your comms are compromised and you're in an assumed breach environment. After all, in the world of surveillance, you're either a ghost in the machine or a target in the crosshairs. And remember, if you're not paranoid, you're not paying attention. Join us next time on Counter Surveil, where we'll be exploring more ways to stay one step ahead of the surveillance state. Or at least, we'll try. No promises, though. We're just a bunch of hackers trying to outsmart the bad guys. Wish us luck, and may the signal be strong. Because when it comes to surveillance, the only thing more powerful than a strong password is a strong alibi. Thanks again, and stay vigilant. Or, just use a VPN and hope for the best. Keep it encrypted, keep it secure, and keep on hacking. Responsibly, of course. And always remember, if you can't find the back door, you're probably the one being backdoored. Until next time, stay off the grid, keep your head down and your firewall up. And if all else fails, just pretend you're a bot. No one surveils bots, right? Just
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.